Good afternoon, everybody. Simple Life Show here. Joe here. It's September 22nd, 2019. Thanks for joining me. Came across this article here from the Free Beacon here. Democrats cook 10,500 steaks while lecturing Americans about eating less meat. This really goes into a lot of the whole climate change debate that's going on right now. It's raging on. Especially with the Greta's out there that's leading a lot of these protests. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure exactly what they're protesting. I mean, really, what are they protesting? And they're protesting is it the inhumane treatment of animals? Is it the warming environment? Or are they protesting science in general? I don't know. But I came across this article. I thought it was really kind of funny when I really thought about it, because it really just highlights the hypocrisy that's coming from the progressive Democrats right now, and how they view us as just kind of stupid. We really just we obviously can't read any scientific journals. We can't really do the process any of the actual information when it comes to CO2 emissions or cows or anything like that. We have to rely on them to really tell us what to believe and what to do, because that's just who we are as a nation right now, I guess, right? I hope not. I really hope not. But we'll find out. We will obviously find out here in the next election cycle whether, whether Americans are going to buy into a lot of this stuff or not. And of course, they descended on Iowa as they do every election cycle. But they really focused on steaks and hating Trump and less so much about the cows themselves or climate change or anything like that.
Democratic presidential candidates turned out to flip steaks and win votes at the annual steak fry in Des Moines, Iowa. In a still crowded field, some took aim at President Trump over the controversy in a whistleblower case. Yeah,
so I mean, most of the rhetoric that is coming out, and most of the speeches from the Democrats during that debate, and it wasn't debate, excuse me, but the presentations and the speeches was more about how much they hated Trump, about how he needed to be impeached and all this stuff. That is really what's kind of irritated a lot of people about the Democrats right now and over time, because it's just getting worse. It really is. They're out of ideas. They realize that people are concerned about the environment, yes, and that's not a bad thing to be concerned about, because deforestation and the clearing of land for a lot of agriculture, yes, it is causing problems. This is undeniable. But simply going vegan or blaming the cows and stuff like that is it's a little bit of an overreach. Actually, it's completely hyperbole when it comes to the actual real problem of climate change. Jerry Brown had an idea a year ago. Of course, this is, when a lot of the whole cow fart stuff came in.
Governor Jerry Brown today signed a bill regulating emissions from dairy cows in landfills to fight climate change beyond carbon-based greenhouse gases.
By pioneering ways of avoiding the poison of black carbon and methane and fluorocarbons, we build the economy, we create the jobs, we protect our future, and we make ourselves all healthy.
I don't think that he really has any idea what he's talking about. I don't think really a lot of Democrats really know what they're talking about. Now, am I calling them all stupid? No, absolutely not. They're smart. I believe that they do have a certain amount of intelligence to them. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not stupid in any ways, but manipulative, absolutely. They're manipulating the population into believing that the world's going to be ending soon, and when it's simply not going to happen like that. The world's not going to be ending anytime soon, and definitely not because of climate change. Now, the only thing that I would suggest when it comes to eating less meat and the whole climate change and cows and so forth and so on is to actually think about it a little bit as far as, well, where do we get most of our meat from? We get it from the grocery store, right? And where do the grocery stores get their meat from? Well, they get it from large-scale manufacturers that employ a lot of these inhumane techniques and stuff with the cows and even sometimes the chickens as well. But we're talking about cows right now. So the majority of people, and I'll get into this, I'll get into this a little bit later. The majority of people that actually go vegan. Why do they go vegan? The reason why they go vegan is because of inhumane treatment of animals. It's not so much that they were trying to be healthy or it's because of the climate or anything else. It's really because of the inhumane treatment of animals. So this is that's an interesting thing to look at. Another interesting thing to look at is the entire, emissions that come from the agricultural sector. If we looked at this chart here, we can see that the top in the orange and burnt orange, it's all really the energy sector. That's really where a lot of these emissions are coming from. Now, what they're not really telling you is that the entire emissions that's actually being put into the atmosphere of CO2, atmospheric emissions of CO2, is, humans only account for about 7% of that, 7 to 8% of that. The rest, 91 to 92% is from land and sea, natural CO2. And the atmosphere can't tell the difference between land and sea CO2 and human or man-made CO2 emissions. It processes it just the same. There's been plenty of scientific journals and studies that have been written even within the past year that have, and I'll post that link in the description. But they have concluded scientifically that CO2 emissions, as well as radiative forcing in the upper atmosphere, have nothing to do with temperature rise. Okay, I know that's really kind of hard to take, and I know there's been a lot of scientific study that does say that more CO2 raises the temperature. But like I said, it's a debate. I don't think that one side knows 100% conclusive one way or the other. So we are jerking the wheel either hard to the right or hard to the left, and this is something that keeps happening in this country. We keep doing it, and I just don't understand why. That the Democrats and really, any politician in general, they understand that people are on edge. They have this feeling that the earth is going to end here pretty soon. At least that's what they're telling them, and they're taking advantage of that. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the Democratic debate, but they talked about the climate as well, and most of them really didn't say much about it. But I'll let you listen.
More Americans, including those here in Texas and in Iowa, follow your diet?
First of all, I want to say no.
What meaningful action will you take to reverse the effect of climate change? And can we count on you to follow through if your donors are against it?
Yes, we will follow through regardless of the political consequences or who it offends, because this is the very future of our planet and our ability for our children and grandchildren to be able to survive on it.
This is the existential crisis of our time. It's, that movie, The Day After Tomorrow? It's today.
The tools we need to use are our regulatory tools. I have proposed, following Governor Inslee, that we, by 2028, cut all carbon emissions from new buildings, by 2030, carbon emissions from cars, and by 2035, all carbon emissions from the manufacture of electricity.
This is a problem that was created by human behaviors. And we can change our behaviors in a way that saves our planet.
Why are we losing to the fossil fuel companies? Yeah. Why are we losing to the gun lobby and the NRA? And the answer is this. We all know, everyone on the stage knows, that our government has been overrun by money and corporate interests. Now, everyone here has a plan to try and curb those corporate interests, but we have to face facts. Money finds a way. Money will find its way back in. So what is the answer? The answer is to wash the money out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not so much about really climate change. It's really about it's about regulation. And if you really think about this, I know this for some of the people out there, some of the Americans out there that have been, propagandized and brainwashed in a way. And I'm not trying to insult anybody or anything like that. It's just really hard to come back from it and actually see things with, fresh eyes. But, there's been a lot of propaganda and a lot of stuff that has been said, and it's really hard to come back from that and actually do a lot of the research yourself. Don't rely on other people to tell you what to do and how to feel and all this kind of stuff. Do your own research and understand what is really going on here. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, there's been a lot of studies that have gone on when it comes to, we saw these charts here, and There was an associate professor of air quality special at UC Davis. He says that such as the promoters of Meatless Monday. Now, of course, we see a lot of Meatless Mondays and a lot of meatless products that are coming out because there is just this overbearing type of alarmist attitude that is going on when it comes to meat. And I'm going to tell you this right now: there is nothing wrong with eating meat. There is a problem with only eating meat. There is a problem with only eating fruits and vegetables. Because then if you're only eating fruits and vegetables, or you're just on a vegan diet, then there's a lot of bad stuff that could happen to you. You could have a vitamin B12 deficiency. You could have problems with your liver because of all the carbohydrates that turn into sugar in your body. You have to have a balance, and I think that is a problem with this country and a problem with the mentality of a lot of people out there, is that they really don't want to have to see the real solution for what it is, and that's to have a balance with nature. And it's not just so much saying that, oh, all meat is bad, so we need to stop eating meat. That's not gonna solve anything. And if we all stopped eating meat, guess what? It would only reduce our emissions by 0.5 to 1%. And that's just from the agricultural sector. Okay? Because there would still be a lot of other stuff that we'd be eating. We would be eating a lot more vegan type of stuff. Soybeans would go through the roof, and no one wants to really tell you all the climate damage that soybeans cause. But a lot of this stuff is going into a lot of these meatless products, and a lot of it would be used a lot more if everyone went vegan. Of course, I don't think that's going to happen. But he says it seems to be well-intentioned, but not well-schooled in the complex relationship among human activities: animal digestion, food production, atmospheric chemistry. Smarter animal farming, not less farming, will equal less heat. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's all I really wanted to say today, because this whole idea that cows are the enemy or meat is the enemy is not true. Now, if you had a diet that was just consisted all of 100% meat, you would have a lot of problems. You would have a lot of digestive issues. You would have a lot of cholesterol issues. You would more than likely, if not 100% guarantee, you would have congestive heart failure. You'd have heart disease and all other types of issues going on with your body. You would not be having a good time. The same thing goes with pure vegans. They have a lot of issues too. My wife was a vegan. It caused a lot of problems with her because she became anemic, and it started messing up her bones and all that stuff, because her body was leaching calcium from her bones and all that kind of stuff. So anytime you go either hard left or hard right, there is going to be some issues. Balance is one of the biggest things that I can talk about right now, and it's really the simple truth of the matter is that whether you go hard right, and some people would say that's being Nazis or something like that, that's terrible. You don't want to do that. That's a bad idea. Or going hard progressive left, which is more of a fascist type of thing. Now, I'll probably get this video might get banned just for saying those words, and that's horrible. I'm just trying to give some truth here, and the simple truth of the matter is that when it comes to cows and agricultural products such as that, any kind of meat product, that yes, they are correct when it comes to the inhumane treatment of the animals. I totally don't agree with that. That's why a lot of people go vegan. What I don't agree with is how they're going about it. Say, well, just stop eating meat completely. No, because we need the meat in our bodies. That is how we evolved a long time ago, is by incorporating a lot of meat products into our body. It actually works really well within our cellular system. It actually causes a lot of good things to happen within our own chemistry by incorporating meat products. Now, the problem with America in general is that we eat too much meat. Yes, that is true. That is why we have a lot of disease. But taking it completely out is not the answer. Eating too much of it is not the answer. Absolutely. So if you've ever actually been to a farm that has a balanced approach to raising cattle, where cattle are actually on different types, not so much just non-grassy fields and stuff like that, which is bad. If you've ever actually been to one of the pastures that actually helps mitigate a lot of this stuff and helps balance it out, then you can see that where there's an answer to that. And here from USA Today, I think just a couple days ago, it said there's compelling evidence that eating and eventually cooking meat essentially created modern human beings. Like I was just talking about, all that protein gave our ancestors brain distinct evolutionary advantages over lower primates and other mammals. Okay. Now, if you don't believe in evolution, that's fine. I think there's a lot of questions with that, but that's like I said, it's another topic. It's just all that's trying to say is that meat is a good thing. It's not so much of a bad thing in moderation. Local pasteurized farms, meanwhile, not only eschew the destructive paradigm, in some ways they reverse it. Well-managed pastures in which native grasses are encouraged to grow through regenerative farming practices can actually function as highly effective carbon sinks, which suck up the carbon dioxide and store or sequester it to keep it out of the atmosphere. And silvopasturing, which is raising livestock in pastures planted with trees, also serves to sequester carbon that would otherwise be released. And this can also lead to actually produce healthier forest, leading to more carbon sequestration. So getting rid of all the meat is not the answer. Actually producing better meat and doing it in a better way is the best way. And this is why living a minimalist lifestyle and actually maybe even doing it yourself, raising your own cattle. I mean, you don't have to have fields and fields of cattle. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm just saying that is a reasonable solution to a lot of this. It will actually put a lot more people back to work. It will actually take a lot of the corporate tax dollar, the corporate lobby dollars out of it from big agricultural and all this other stuff out of the political environment. So I agree with Jerry Yang when he says that. However, his solutions are not reasonable when it comes to that. It's not gonna really solve anything, because the dollars are going to be there no matter what when it comes to big corporation. If more people are allowed to get involved in the entire process and run their own farms or pastures where they can actually get involved in this entire process, then we'll have a better planet. And, when I travel across the United States, whenever I'm going through a lot of the farmland, I see a lot of perfectly good farmland that's not being used. And I know that a lot of people can agree with me when it comes to that. A lot of it's just sitting there, not being used for anything. I think a lot of this land out there could be used by smaller, more centralized local farmers that are either growing chickens, doing cattle, doing any kind of agricultural work, or farming, or anything like that can put more of the power back into the hands of the people. And that's really what they're trying to do, but they want to use government to regulate everything, and that completely destroys the entire idea of it. You can't put the power in the hands back of the people through government edict. You cannot do that. You can never do that. And going to Iowa and grilling steaks and talking about how much you hate Trump is not going to win over votes either. So that's really all I really want to say about that. Until next time, this is Joe with Simple Life, and have a great day.